calling participants everything from fatty siblings to beach blubber bellies. Supporters saying his blunt... I haven't read this before. His blunt comments got results. Critics say it was cruel, outdated and discriminatory. He insists it was all about honesty with a sense of fun. But others argue it crossed a line. Is straight talking the key to tackling obesity, or is it time we retire the insults? To discuss this, I'm pleased to welcome Director of All About Obesity, Sarah Le Brocq. Sarah, thank you so much for coming on tonight. You saw some of the clips there of Steve Miller, and I have to say, to start off with, it is entertaining. People did laugh at those things. Have we moved past the point now where this is there's an ability to laugh at things and actually we have to take everything so seriously?
Yeah, I mean, so you're talking about things happening back in 2010, and I think back then it wasn't right, but we didn't know the complexities of obesity and understand the science around obesity the same as we do now. So I think there's always been this running joke about weight, that people think it's okay to make these comments about people living in larger bodies. And I think the thing is, it's not okay. It is bullying, it's discrimination, it's just not okay. So there's absolutely no way that we should be encouraging that behavior, especially now in 2025, when we have evidence to show that weight stigma, which is kind of what's happening with this kind of banter, etc., around weight, is actually more damaging to someone's health than obesity itself. So we need to be really mindful of this. For sure.
Yeah, and obviously, critics of this will say, well, actually, you know what, there was nothing wrong with people feeling a little bit offended by that because it might incentivise them to do something about it. If we become too accepting of things like obesity, if, for example, San Francisco has an obesity champion, however, she champions being happy with your weight rather than doing something about it, it's quite easy for us to tip in to the other line quite easily from going, actually, no, we don't accept obesity, which causes severe strain on the NHS, causes many different diseases as well. But it also, at the same time, we mustn't embrace the idea that being obese is healthy.
No, and again, totally agree with you. I think we need to focus on health and not weight. So we need to make sure that everybody is being the healthiest version of themselves. And for some people, that will be living in a slightly larger body than someone else's. This is the bit that I'm trying to get across and that I spend a lot of my time doing in the work that I do, is that everybody is going to come in different shapes and sizes. Like, it's okay that we do. Like, if we all look the same, the world would be pretty boring, to be fair. And it's about that obesity is not a choice. So it's not something one day someone didn't wake up and go, do you know what? I want to live with obesity today. They had a genetic predisposition, which has driven them to choose certain foods, to behave in certain ways. There's lots of things that are out of someone's control. And I'm not saying we can't do things about it, because we can. We can make sure we eat healthy foods and we move more. But for some people, even if they do that, they will still live in larger bodies. And that's the bit we need to be more accepting of and not shame them for living in a larger body.
Yeah, the obesity epidemic, before I bring my panel in, because I'd like them to ask you some questions as well, the obesity epidemic is getting worse. The proportion of adults in England who are overweight or obese has risen. I'm just looking at the stats here. In 1993, 52% to 2022, 63%. So it's a slow creeping problem. We're seeing over the course of 10 years, almost 1% every year. What is it that needs to change for us to tackle this crisis, in your opinion, Sarah?
We need to recognise it as being a chronic condition, because at the moment it's been seen as a lifestyle choice, as a behavioural thing. It's so complex that we can't look at it in such a simplistic way. So we need to manage it like it's a chronic condition. Therefore, we need to treat it like it's a chronic condition. We also need to change the food environment that we are susceptible to, the whole environment that we're in, because we live in an obesogenic environment, which means the environment is driven towards pushing us to living in larger bodies because of the way we can access foods and the types of foods we can access and the jobs that we do and all of these kind of things. They don't help someone if they're more predisposed to living with obesity. So there's lots of things we can change.
Sure. Kai, I'd like to bring Kai in and then Alexander after that.
Yeah, thank you so much, Sarah. And I think you probably have this every day. These kind of debates lack a bit of nuance, don't they? Some people would look at how this drama producer has been treated and say, well, he's being cancelled, people being cancelled for things that seemed okay back in the 2010s. I want to ask specifically, this was a reality TV show, but comedy, lots of people are worried about all sorts of different comedy taking the mickey out of people will be cancelled. I just wanted to hear your opinion on that.
Yeah, I mean, There's lots of opinions on it. I think, the world has changed, and I don't necessarily think it's for the better. I'm from the era of growing up, with all of this was just normalized, and I don't think that's necessarily right. But I think the thing we need to stop doing is making fun of body shape and size, because that is the bit that kind of like it is discrimination and it's bullying. And it's like, we think back to children being subjected to like, Daddy Pig and his big tummy and the fat controller and this language that we've been brought up with, thinking that's normal, when actually, no, it's not normal. Like, we shouldn't be using that language. So I do think we need to be mindful. I think we can take it too far and be too like, we shouldn't be saying X, Y, and Z. But I think we do need to be mindful of what we have done in the past and the impact that has on individuals.